is allowing the government to remain open. So as a result, we're not able to release the additional grants right now or your next round of grants until we get permission to do so. But we're having those discussions actively about the importance of that. And Tyler's working through that. So we've got the NOFO cleaned up and ready to go. We just don't have permission to issue that to you. So we appreciate your patience. The other thing that we're doing based on your feedback is addressing kind of a thorn in your side, which is that we have historically not opened up classes until the day before that are being held off campus, and told your folks to get everybody registered that first day or that weekend or 14 days after. But based on your feedback, we're going to take that cap or that collar off of the front end. And basically, Lori will open up the classes for enrollment as soon as we have them scheduled. And you'll get a chance to see who's enrolled in those classes to make sure they're people that you were expecting to be in those classes. And then we'll keep it open 14 days afterwards. Because what we know happens at the state level is a person may show up in place of somebody else. And then we want to make sure they get the credit for the class. So Lori's working on a job aid that she's going to send out to all of us to kind of walk through that with you about what that will look like. But again, I think it addresses a customer service issue that a number of you have shared concerns about. So we're glad to do that. The other thing we're talking about internally is something that came up at the NAFTD meeting in Annapolis, which is some of you have asked why we keep shipping books out when we can give you the books electronically for the students. And that's really your decision. So you all have access to the dashboard. So if you want to give the students a digital copy of the book and not have us ship the books to you, we're more than happy to do that because we know a lot of people recycle the books as soon as the class is over or may actually just want a few pages out of it. So we're having that discussion internally how we do that. But we're very aware that we don't want you to perceive that we're trying to get out of the student publishing and workbook business. We're trying to deal with this as a customer service issue. So we just wanted to plant the seed on that discussion that we're listening to you. And then the last thing I have is that we're going to clean up the Y course issue, which is courses that you've submitted that you use state grants for. And we did the initial email to all of you saying, you know, these are the classes that we show for your state. But what's interesting is that some states said we're not going to maintain this class anymore, but some of you other states are using that class. So we're going to have to figure out the wiring diagram on that. So it's on our radar screen for the first quarter of this year to get that cleaned up. And obviously we'll do that in partnership with NAV. So that's a quick thumbnail for me. Tyler, anything you want to share? Anything I missed?
No, you covered the grants pretty well, Eriks, but I did want to note a couple things that aren't in my area anymore. But we have the Maryland State Weekend coming up, and I see Director Cox is on here, so we're excited to have Maryland State Weekend here back on campus. And then we had a great showing last year with the Women's Weekend, so we're hoping to do more weekends like that in the future. And just the grants are rolling, like Eric said, and we're excited to hopefully announce those grants a little bit earlier this year. We just got to do a few things to clean them up. So we're right on track.
Thanks, Tyler. So, Mr. President, that's our quick update pending any questions from you or your members.
Any questions for the NFA? Excellent. Jeff, you mentioned that you had caught the end of a meeting but hadn't been at the start. You want to introduce yourself and tell everybody where you're from and what you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. My name is Jeff Van Rybroek. I'm the Assistant Deputy Fire Marshal with the province of Ontario. So the Office of the Ontario Fire Marshal is the accrediting body for IFSAC and Pro Board in the province of Ontario. So we run the Ontario Fire College, which does all of the fire training within the province. And then we have the accrediting body on the other side of our house. So I oversee both sides. And just new to the position, I was the manager of the fire college for the last year and a half. So I'm just stepping into the new role overseeing the certification side as well. So happy to be here, happy to gain any knowledge and to always make connections with peers that are in the same type of work and looking for ways that we can always network and build better training throughout the the province and the country and across the nation. So thanks for
Excellent.
having me.
Welcome. And I mentioned Ward Lyon from the new director in Wisconsin. Ward, do you want to introduce yourself? And
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Ward Lyon, my first week in the position, so I'm doing the onboarding process right now, but I appreciate the invite. I definitely have a lot of questions, and I'll be looking out to some of you for that help. I just recently retired from the military, 6 years in the Army and the rest in the Air National Guard. So 21 years retired. And then I'm leaving the fire service. I worked at the 128th Air Refueling Wing up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I was an assistant chief of training. So working with the DoD with the IFSAC Pro Board certifications, and just managing the training program with that fire department. So yeah, I was excited to get accepted into the director position for the state of Wisconsin, and really interested to see this side of things. So thank you very much for involving me.
congratulations.
Thank you.
And Ken shared with me, Graham Colt is the new director from Alaska. He may be here today. I don't see him on right now. Are you out there, Graham? Hey. Ken, you got anything before we start with PJ?
Yes, thank you. So just a reminder to attendee, the folks who are on the call, I sent out the registration link for the upcoming AFG updates for the State Fire Training Academy grant program. So that'll be done through Adobe Connect, and you use the registration link to get enrolled, and then they will send you the contact information. It's going to be held 4 times in the month of January, and feel free to share that information with anybody on your staff who's involved in working on your grants. Jen Ginn from MIFRI, who's leading our communications work group, advises that they've had one meeting, and their next meeting is January 17th, 2:30 p.m. It's a Zoom meeting. So if you have any member of your staff that you would like to join this work group, they had previously talked about social media marketing, and on the January 17th meeting, they're going to be asking themselves the questions, what are we marketing? As state training academies, what are we really putting out there for a message? What are we trying to say? Also had an update from Max Dodge from New Hampshire on the curriculum development work group that started and had one meeting via Zoom. They're going to be scheduling a second meeting, and they're going to be focusing on the flipped classroom methodology. The purpose of this work group is to bring people in similar roles within our member organizations together to discuss best practices, to learn from one another, develop networks, but also expand the role of NAFTD in bringing together our organizations to provide better resources and service to the students and the learners that we have enrolled. I sent out that CFSI has changed the dates. So pay attention if you were planning to go to Washington for the symposium or the dinner or to go up on the Hill. Check out that email with the revised dates, and there's further information in there. And the last piece is AFG reviews, Assistance to Firefighter Grant Reviews. Each year, NAFTD is asked to provide a group of candidates who are sponsored by the NAFTD member, the state or state training director. And they gather and they do the panel reviews, and state training grants have to be reviewed by state training people. The week they're doing the reviews this year is the week of FDIC, because that is the only week they could get space on campus and coordinate everything else. So what Kathy Patterin has very kindly offered, that if we are unable to provide sufficient numbers of state training personnel to do the state fire training grant review, they will hold a separate review session for just those programs with our personnel that are available. I thought that was a very generous accommodation on the part of Kathy and our friends at AFG, and we really appreciate that. So stay tuned for more information on that as it develops. And that's all I have, Jim.
Excellent. Thank you very much. JP, I'm going to kick it over to you.
All right, good afternoon or good morning if you're it's not afternoon for you, and Happy New Year. I'm going to share my screen. Actually, Ken, I think you'll need to allow me to share my screen.
Yep, you should be all set.
There we go.
And we can see it, PJ.
All right, good. So thanks, everybody. Some of you have already heard this presentation and heard this conversation already. We just wanted to wait one more month and get it out to more individuals from NAFTD before the executive board determines on going forward and putting a committee together. So this is just another run through of the instructor development program that I've kind of put together. It started as an idea for me here in Connecticut, and I'll kind of explain how it's progressed to this as we go through it. So kind of the problems that we all face surrounding or specific to fire dynamics. We've learned through the efforts of UL that collectively our knowledge and understanding of fire dynamics fall short. We recognize that fire dynamics impacts almost every tactical skill set that our academies teach. And many of our instructors have not had the exposure at a high enough level to actually teach us research-based tactics. Many instructors are just learning this information now and just trying to digest it and apply it to the fireground, let alone in a position to actually teach it. So the proposal outlines the establishment of an instructor development program within NAFTD. The objective is to enhance professional development for instructors by providing training modules through UL, through their online fire safety academy, and to coordinate monthly or quarterly online seminars by UL staff. So the first step would be to establish a committee. The purpose of the committee is to oversee the development program and ensure its successful implementation. The committee members include a chair and active participation from state directors or the designees. And the committee will be responsible for decision-making, planning, and executing the program's key components. You know, this is not something that I felt that we can do and just dump into Ken's lap or anybody on the executive board. So I felt it'd be appropriate to put a committee together. And again, all this is just my idea. I'm completely open to feedback or from any members and especially the executive board on how to structure this differently if anybody sees a better way to make this work. Collaborate with UL. We've already spoke with the UL. They attended the last time I did this presentation, both Angie Bennett, who runs their fire academy, as well as Dan Majikowski. And we'll collaborate with them by seeking guidance on the modules, the order of dissemination, and the number of modules to distribute each month. All their online modules are going through a rewrite currently. They do have some that are available with the most recent updates. And all their modules are about an hour to an hour and a half at most in duration. And determine the ideal time for frequency of the online seminars. The monthly training modules, the NAFTD training directors or designee will choose to participate. We'll send out specific training modules to their instructors monthly, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. You know, my opinion is we should be sending only one out to our members per month. These modules will be distributed in a specific order, so every participating instructor is working on the same module each month. The NAFTD Instructor Development Committee will schedule a virtual meeting and provide participating directors and designate a link to provide to their participating instructors. So basically, once a month, your instructor will be taking an online program through the UL Fire Academy, the same online module that any other participating state academy is doing at the same time. And then whether it's bi-monthly or quarterly, and it seems quarterly is going to work best for Dan Majikowski and his staff, is then they will schedule a virtual meeting to review those 3 or 4 modules from those participating months, and then have an open roundtable discussion. One of my things that I've been talking to UL on a regular basis is that we all receive the same level of training. All the UL modules are the same, whether you're a recruit firefighter, you're an officer, you're a chief officer, or you're an instructor. We're getting the same information. And I'm trying to create a way that our instructors have access to Dan Majikowski in a higher level of information so that we can clearly disseminate that to those that we're teaching. The quarterly online seminars I just kind of already touched on. Coordinate with UL to ensure access to valuable education and their expertise. The seminars include a brief overview of UL programs that were signed in roundtable discussion. And then the online seminars be scheduled bi-monthly or quarterly, allowing for regular engagement and learning opportunities. And what's kind of nice about those quarterly meetings or bi-monthly meetings will be that we have direct access to Dan Majikowski. We can provide him our questions. It's not going to be one-on-one, but one-on how many ever people join. But we can also hear from other instructors from other academies and network between each other's academies on how we're delivering research-based tactics to our firefighters. Inclusion, the enhanced instructor skill set, regular training modules will keep instructors up to date with the latest practices and technologies in the field. Knowledge sharing, the online seminars provide a platform for discussion and idea sharing amongst instructors from different academies. We'll increase our partnership and strengthen those partnerships with UL. Collaboration with UL will strengthen the relationships, foster a culture of continuous learning. The proposed NAFTD organization-wide instructor development program aims to elevate the professional development of our instructors by providing valuable training modules and engaging seminars. The initiative will not only enrich our instructors, but also reinforce our collaboration with UL, contributing to the overall growth and excellence of NAFTD. Next steps, the NAFTD Executive Board, if they elect to adopt this proposal, then they will establish a committee, which I'm offering to be part of, obviously, but I don't want to do this alone. The committee will then, once that committee is assigned, will meet as a group and establish roles. We'll meet with UL representatives, determine which modules to disseminate in what order, schedule the seminars, create recorded presentation for NAFTD membership. Ken, that's something I added in from the last time. I feel we have great attendance on this meeting today, better than what we've had in the past. But I feel we should take this presentation once we go forward and update it and record something so we can send that to all training directors. So if they can't meet this meeting, they're still aware of what we're doing and how they could get involved and participate. Begin soliciting academies to participate and then launch the program. I put a launch date of March 1, 24 on there, but there's nothing holding us to that. That's just a target or a goal. At this point, if you have any questions or any feedback, one of the questions that I've received from a couple of you is, well, is this required? Is this mandatory? And then the other one is, well, how are we going to pay for our instructors to do this? Who's going to pay for it? So is it mandatory, required? Absolutely not. Is it something that you could make mandatory for your instructors? Of course, if that's an avenue you feel you want to go down. Or is it just an optional program that we will offer through NAFTD for any of your instructors? That's kind of the way I'm looking at it as a whole big picture, is that it'll be an optional program. For me here in Connecticut, I've been aggressively pursuing instructor development, and I have budgeted hours now for each instructor each year for instructor development. So this is going to be part of it. I'm going to pay all my instructors the 1 hour per month for the online modules, and then the total time for the virtual meetings to attend is just kind of a nugget for them or an encouragement to get them to attend. But that's what I'm doing here in Connecticut. That's not something that you need to do. It could be just an option. And then is it required for all academies to do this? No, absolutely not. This is just something we're looking to do to advance our instructor development. And the big reason is that, I started working on this with Dan Mazurkowski, and he was in support. But he's kind of like, Connecticut's a small state. You don't have a lot of instructors. I want to try to maximize my time and my staff's time. How can we make this bigger and better? And then here comes NAFTD. So we can do the same thing that I was looking to do here in Connecticut, but we can do it, across the country, including our brothers and sisters in Canada. And we can all be on the same page as far as hearing directly from UL and developing our instructors further. So that's all I have. I don't know if anybody has any questions for me. I'm going to exit out of this so I can see the chat in case there's anything in there. And then Ken, I'll just turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. So there was a question in the chat about, is this for NAFTD organizations only, or is it open to other department training staff? And my response was, seeing as how this is a pilot project and we're kind of working the bugs out, at this time it would be for NAFTD members and their staff only. And then the other question was, can we get a copy of the presentation? What I will do is I will work with PJ to get a copy of the presentation, and also to make a video clip of this presentation from the Zoom recording. And then PJ, we can make that available to everybody, if that would provide that ability for those who couldn't attend today to see it, that you were hoping we could do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll send you this slide deck as soon as we finish today, so you'll have that as well.
Thank you, PJ.
Yeah, I had a question. If we opt to go in, is there a limit of how many of our live fire instructors can do it?
Hey, John, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Is there a maximum?
No. So since it's, the UL platform, they can handle, as you're aware of, the Fire Academy can handle unlimited numbers. And then the virtual meetings, it would be the max would be how many ever the virtual platform can hold. So,
Okay.
I have I have 169 instructors and almost 40 contractors that work as instructors. And this is gonna be something I'm gonna roll out to all of them in hopes that, I know I'm not gonna get all of them, but in hopes that I'll get all of them. And I hope that if anybody's going to be able to do this and join Connecticut with this, the more we get, the better. I think it adds consistency to our training across the country, which I think is critical with fire dynamics.
Other thoughts, other comments, other questions,
Jim,
please.
PJ struck my job as executive director, I'm always working on my elevator speech. So when I meet with other organizations and potential sponsors, I can wow them about NAFTD. And one of the things that always wows them is we do over 1 million students annually through our collective systems. Nobody matches that, but PJ mentioned how many instructors he has. 169, I think, or so was the number he used. So when I have access to that tidbit of information and I'm talking to somebody who's in the training space and I'm trying to enroll them as a sponsor or make them appreciate the value NAFTD has in the reach that we have, that's the kind of information that's helpful. So while we're on the call today, if everybody could just type in the number of instructors you consider, what do you consider to be the number of your instructors of record, and then just put the state or provincial abbreviation after it. It'll be captured in the chat. I'm going to tally it up. That's going to be a piece of information for me, but I'm going to share it with everybody just as a factoid to let you know about how many potential instructors could benefit by this work that PJ has taken the lead on. And thank you for that, PJ. So just type in the number of instructors in your state or province, please. And that's all I got, Jim.
Excellent. Other thoughts, other questions? Okay. I just want to tag into Wart's question about non-instructors, because some places are like Wisconsin where the instructors teach for other organizations, even though there is a state director, they don't have a state academy. And it would be my desire that once we figure this out, that would be available to your instructors that teach regularly in your programs, even though they're not your instructors. If that makes sense to the body.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. As we collect that and everybody watches the chat, Curt, how are you?
Yes, sir. Good. Thank you.
Let you introduce yourself to the people that maybe don't know you, but
Sure.
we're really happy to have you here
Thanks.
to talk about the NFPA.
Thanks, Mr. President. Thanks, Ken, and the members of NAFTD. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I am the technical lead for responders at NFPA, and in June I will be celebrating my 10th year at NFPA, which went by really, really fast. So one of the things I wanted to just kind of brief you on today is a project that we've been working on, and it was really based on some feedback that we received from a lot of folks, mainly folks that are working with JPRs and the Pro Quals, and how that is used by all y'all as far as when you are creating curriculum. So if you recall, there the PDFs that NFPA used to put out, we made some changes, and so there are PDFs that are not available now on a lot of the newer documents. So when you have one version edition of a certain document, specifically Pro Qual at this point, we go to another one, a newer one, we won't have those PDFs available, so you won't be able to compare. One of the thoughts that we had hoped that with the new Link online subscription program, there would be change indicators available in those documents so that one who is working on changing or updating their curriculum to a new version to meet the JPRs in the Pro Quals they would be able to see where those changes were. Unfortunately, when we did establish the consolidation plan that consolidated a lot of the Pro Qual documents, because they were technically a new document. For instance, 1010, which actually has just come out. 1010 is the new document that consolidated 1001, 1002, and some of those documents. That came out actually on the 21st of last month. I looked this morning to see if it's up on link yet, and I wasn't able to see it, but I've got to contact somebody to make sure that that is up. But if it's not up and not working right now, it will be soon. So anyway, because those were new documents, there was no way to see that there was a change, that there was something that changed from an older document. So through a lot of conversation with the help of NAFTD and Pro Board and many of you, I put together a team at NFPA to work on a roadmap. Granted, this will probably be a one-shot deal just because it's a new document, a new Pro Qual. You'll see these roadmaps that we've created. And then from there, we're not sure whether we'll continue, but as they continue in their revision process, you'll be able to see the change indicators. So if you allow me to share my screen.
Yep, you should be good to go.
All right, so I am not an IT guy here. For some reason, it's working on it.
No problem.
It's got it says choose what to share, and oh, here we go. You don't need that.
Yeah, we're seeing your email box.
Right, yeah, okay. Have I won any money?
Nope.
Okay, here we go. Now, can you see the link page that I have up?
No.
No, still just email. All right,
Yep.
Stand by. Sorry about that. Let's see. All right, try that. Can you see that? Should be NFPA 1030?
No.
For some reason, it's not. All right. Anyway. I'm sorry. I'm not able to.
Is it a doc? Is it something you can email to me, Curt, and I can try and get it up?
Well, it's on link. It's just the link page. But what it is so for the documents so far that are up there, they're on link, and I apologize for that. I should be able to do that, but for whatever reason, I'm not able to. So for documents 470, the hazmat document, 1225 is the communications consolidated document, 1030 for fire prevention positions, 1910 on apparatus, 1140 on wildfire, and really soon, probably within maybe even next week, 1010 will be up on link. So what you would need to do is go up into link and look for those documents. So say 470 for example for hazmat, and on there you'll see the chapters as they come up, And chapter 1 in all of the documents is going to be the administration chapter. And I know many of you know that, being familiar with the NFPA documents. Right under that chapter heading says in administration, there'll be a blue bar. And it'll ask you to expand. And if you click on that expansion, it'll open up and give you a description of the document. And then down in the lower right-hand corner of that block, you'll see a what looks like a PDF. You click on that, and up will pop that roadmap. So the roadmap is going to be a document that shows you for that document. In the case of 470, it will be 1072. And in there, it'll show you the section that is new and where it is in the newer consolidated document. And it'll tell you also in one of the columns where it came from. So if there was a change from any one of the sections, it'll tell you where in the previous edition it is, and then it'll show you where it is in the new edition. Some things have been deleted, some things have changed, and sometimes just the number of the section has changed. So that's pretty much what that roadmap will do, and we're hoping that it'll allow you to have a little bit clearer picture of where things have changed in those Pro Qual documents. So maybe I could give it one more shot, Ken, but I don't know. I'm not. It comes up with a screen and asks me to share, but
yeah, and then you find the window where you've got the document, and you click that window, and it should, after you click share screen. Okay, you've got it. You're at NFPA 1030.
Look at that. You guys have just witnessed progress. All right, so that is 1030 in link, assuming that you can get there. I am going to put my information, my contact information in the chat. So any of you at any time, you can contact me either at my email or my cell, and I can help you along. But as I mentioned, under chapter 1, if you click on that, you'll open up, there's that blue bar, enhanced content. You hit expand, and it opens up what that document covers. In the case of 1030, it's the fire prevention program positions that were all several different documents. And then I'll talk about right here, the consolidated professional qualifications roadmap. And here is where you click on that document. And as long as the link is nice to me, up pops that roadmap. They're all going to look very similar to what you see on your screen. Can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And in this case, this is the consolidated document 1030, 24 edition. And you have the basic topic or position that is being talked about. You can see that the new document 1030, here's the section number. Here's the source document. So those areas 1031, 1035, and 1037. And then the source document section. So that's a one-for-one change, and not a lot has really changed that. It talks a little bit about there's a comment section there that talks a little bit more about that. And then you can scroll down and see some different areas. There are new sections, such as in the definitions area. Used to be, or it is now in 1030, this definition 3311, and it talks over here in the comment section. It's a new definition that was added. So there's not going to be anything in the source document section. If we scroll down to say, and here's a definition. In the new document 1030, it's 3.3.31. It references out of 1037, the 2016 edition. And it was at 3.3.7 in that 1037 document, and that is now 3331 in 1030. So that is finally able to get to it. That is really pretty much what they'll all be like. I can tell you that 1010 is done. It just needs to kind of waiting for it to be published. Now that it's published on the 21st, it should only take the team a little bit of time just to pop this in. So you should have that really, really soon. So that is all I have. I just wanted to extend that to you so you're aware that that was available and how to get to it. I'll stop sharing and entertain any questions.
And there is a question in the chat, Curt, regarding the ability to print or save the standards in link.
Let's see. So print. So you're able to take pieces out of that. You can bookmark within link certain sections. I do it almost on a daily basis. If I get a media call or a question about a certain section of the standard, you can bookmark those and put it in a collection. So I have collections for Pro Qual. I have collections for apparatus and things like that. So you can kind of manipulate that in any way on your dashboard as you would like. As far as printing out the document, I don't believe that is an option yet, but I'm not sure about that. I'd have to check. Sorry, I don't know that.
No, it's okay, Curt. This is Ward from Wisconsin. So when I left the military, we had that NFPA link access, and for people that are teaching classes or doing live burns up at Volk Field, I'd like to print them off like the 1403 and give it to them so they can reference, because our guard members didn't have the link access, or full timers did. But I was unable to even save a whole NFPA or even print it off. But one way around it was I would copy and I go into Word. And I would kind of create my own document. It's kind of frustrating, but I hope in the future if that's a capability that we could have.
Yeah. Right now, and without me kind of confirming that, right now I don't believe that that's a possibility. And then a lot of that is there are a lot of copies being made and used, not through NFPA. And so the concern is that something gets missed or lost or misinterpreted. And gets out there incorrectly. But let me check. Let me get back to you, and I can tell you for sure. The printed copies are still available. Obviously, you'd have to purchase that. But as far as your using link in your own dashboard, what you could do is actually share that document with whomever your team is, and they don't necessarily have to have a link subscription. You can share that those bits and pieces. And one of the examples I use, in fact, I think maybe at FDIC when I was speaking to the NAFTD group, I showed a demonstration where I had a certain team of folks, and we were specking out an apparatus, and there was a couple areas that I wanted them to concentrate on, and so I bookmarked those, and then I shared that. That's an option that you have as well with that program.
Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions?
I just put my my contact information in the chat too, so feel free to holler at me. And if anybody has any feedback, you get a chance, you go on there and you try to use that, and something's a little clunky or doesn't work, or that it's working out for you, let me know. I'd like to hear about that. So thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Curt. I think that's an excellent resource when we're doing that dive and comparing things. And at least it saves us. It's going to save us some work. I know it
A little
is.
bit. Yeah.
You
Yeah, I know it may not be ideal, but it's something a little closer to help out.
And again, the idea, the reason it's a one-time thing, if I understand correctly, that in the future, as more standards are added, that'll be part of the system. It's just because this is a brand new system, the older stuff wasn't here to do that automatically or in by itself. That in the future, as a new standard comes into Link, once a standard's there, the new standard will have that comparison.
Well, actually, if some of the newer standards that are not part of the consolidation program, 921, for instance, that is not being consolidated. That's going to be, say, a single source document. And when that moves into the Link program, you'll be able to see change indicators in there. It's just these consolidated Pro Qual documents, because of the first cycle being a brand new document right out the gate. There won't be any changes. And so in this case, for 470 or 1030, any of those, the next revision cycle will have those change indicators in there.
The hard part is 10 years from now, this won't be an issue.
That's true. That's true. And I will be fishing. I'll be out fishing somewhere.
Ken, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Okay. I sent a reminder out yesterday about NAFTD logo wear is available at the Land's End Business Store. And I'm sporting my new NAFTD pullover. So the NAFTD logo wear is available, and I sent out a promotional code where you could save 15% if your order was over $75, which is basically 1.5 shirts, or 20% if you were over $150, which is probably 2 shirts and a sweatshirt. So if you're interested, that's the link, and if you're missing the link, let me know. I'll be glad to send it to you. FDIC. Last call. I will be sending some updates to our friends at FDIC for complimentary registrations. So please, if you have any changes or you have not registered anybody for 3 complimentary registrations but want to, this is the time to do it. I will send out the link one more time. If you have already registered somebody and they have to drop out, I ask you use the link to provide the information for the new registrant, and then send me an email and say, I've updated our registrations, I've added John Smith, but I dropped Brad Wardle, please update. And then I'll make that. But by you using the Google form to provide the information, it saves me having to go back to you with 3 emails when you tell me 3 new members and I have to get all their contact information. So please use the link to either add people for complimentary registrations that haven't been requested for, or for changing existing complimentary registration requests. And I'll provide the updates based on that. I think our room block at this point is pretty much totally filled. We may have a 1 or 2 room here and there, but I don't think there's any successive nights left in any of the hotels that we had a room block for. Right now, we're looking at about 70 folks have registered for complimentary registration. We're looking at a 2-day program. They'll be shorter than last year. One, to give you time to be able to take in some of the classes. And then also on day 2, we're going to do a tour of the exhibit hall floor as a group. And some of our sponsors who already have their exhibits there will meet us at their exhibit and be able to demonstrate whatever product they've brought and tell us about it, as well as thanking us for showing up, and we thank them for their support. So that's for FDIC. We're beginning to work on the 2024 annual conference. It'll be in September at Illinois Fire Service Institute. If you have any presenters that you have seen that you think would be great to invite to our conference and for our executive board to consider inviting, would you please send me their information and what they presented on. We are considering expanding into a little bit of a longer program with a half day or so because of the success of last year's conference. And the feedback we got that we tried to put so much into such a short period of time, we need to have a little more time for the networking and for the interactions along with the presentations and the professional development. So the board is looking into that. And that is all I have, Jim.
Perfect. Anything out there for the good of the order before we wrap up today? Eriks.
Just one thing, and it's not National Fire Academy U.S. Fire Administration related, and I know Ken sent it out to the members, and this is probably more of interest to the U.S. members than the Canadian members, but please take a look at the work that federal OSHA is doing in the firefighter space regarding the fire brigade standard that brings that to a different level, being a fire service standard. So just making you aware that it's out there, and you should definitely take a look at it.
Thank you very much. I have been looking at it, and there are some significant components in there. If you haven't seen it, make sure you take a look, and Ken can send that link out again if we need to.
Oh, and I did a quick back of napkin edition of the results of our poll as to how many instructors the academies on the call have, and I'm close to I'm somewhere between 4,500 and 5,000. So we may only have about 32 organizations represented on the call today, which is about half of our membership. But when you think that of just half of our membership, we have close to 5,000 instructors that are part of our team, that's pretty impressive.
Yes, Ken will. Ken, make sure you send out the link for the OSHA standards for everybody. And then there was a question on age for certification requirements. We can collect some information on that through the listserv, I think.
Yes.
Perfect. I think that's it, everybody. It's 10-1, so we got done just a little early. Thanks for being here today, and thanks for a near record number. I think at its peak we were at 38, Ken.
We were.
So that's excellent. Happy New Year, everybody, and have a great rest of January, and talk to you again in February.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
Take care, all.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
Oh, have a good day.
Thank you, Curt and JP for presenting
Thank
today.
you. Anytime. Glad to do it.
And we'll see you at Pro Board if you're going.
Thank you.
Thank you. You need anything from me, Ken?